All right, welcome. Welcome to this muscle testing class. My name is Tyler Watson, and I've got a lot of great friends on here with me to ask some really good questions that hopefully we can get answered today. I, by no means, am like the official expert on muscle testing. There's so many people who are phenomenal muscle testers, but my background is pretty dang good in it. I've been around it since I was the age of 2. My dad's a clinical kinesiologist, so he uses it every day. It was like another language to me, just like English. And so to me, it was always something very common. For many people who see muscle testing, they might think it's a little weird or esoteric. To me, it's just another tool, another way to measure intuition. That's how I define muscle testing. Muscle testing is simply a way to measure intuition or measure the electrical frequencies that are all around us. So that could be in anything, and everything has electrical frequencies if it's here in this planet. So it's a way to measure that. Now, by the time we're done today, I want to give you a background of the types of different muscle testing methods. There's a lot of them out there. And how to practice on yourself and others, how to make it really effective. I'm actually at a hotel right now in California, going through a bunch of processes. So if you hear my kids yelling or screaming, that's because we're in a hotel here. So you'll just be like, all right, cool. That's what that is. So here's my background in this. Since the age of 2, I've been studying the healing arts. I've been in the healing arts. I have grown a successful practice in and outside the healing arts, and I use muscle testing all the time. It's a very amazing tool to measure. It doesn't change anything. It's an observational technique to measure stuff. That's it. And yes, there are ways to alter frequencies and change them. Muscle testing is simply a way to measure those frequencies. So with that, you can measure anything. You can test the result of things on you. You can measure any type of frequency. Everything is made of energy. First, that's one thing you have to get, is that everything is made out of energy. If you understand that, and if you get that all things are made of energy, a phone, organic gummy bears, salt, my body, like everything is matter, right? Has matter, material. It's all energy. Some is slower moving than others. Objects that are inanimate, that are solid, very solid state, that have no not non-food substances, much slower frequencies than something that would be like a fruit. It's alive. It has a higher potential for frequency. Also, us. Very easy to pick up on things that are higher frequencies. So let me dive in to this. I'm going to teach you guys. By the time you're done, hopefully you get all your questions answered. If you do have questions, put it in the comments. And for those of you listening to the recording, reach out to us on our Facebook page if you have further questions. Okay, so let's just talk about muscle testing in general. What is muscle testing? Muscle testing is a way to measure frequencies, right? Great. So there's a lot of different ways. You can just, and all this is programming in the mind, okay? That's it. It's not something that you're magically creating. It's your brain picking up on the frequencies of things outside of you or inside of you, whatever you're measuring. And you have the ability to detect, to measure, and then to understand those things. That's the cool thing about being human, right? We have a really cool potential here. So if I'm wanting to check, usually I use muscle testing. I try to avoid pure yes and no's. Pure yes and no's can get people confused because most people aren't in a state of mind to get really specific answers. So I always like to use a rating scale, okay? I like to go positive, negative, and 0 to 10. So if I'm checking something, here's one way that you could check is a closed grip. And if you're starting off, you might do the pinky because it's less strong, so it's less likely to be manipulated. So you're just gonna, with the same amount of pressure, what is yes, what is no, what is yes, what is no, what is yes, what is no. And you're programming it. You're teaching, this is how I get a yes, this is how I get a no. Yes, no, yes, no. So if it goes weak, it's a no, right? So I like to do it just with my finger here. What is yes, what is no, okay? Now, yes and no's are good just to make sure that you're on board. if you're like, what is no? What is yes? And it's backwards, you might try to do a few things, which one is drink some water. One would be to tap right here and then switch, tap on the other side, switch, tap back, and just do this 2 or 3 times tapping, and then try it again. It just kind of resets your body to pick up on the frequencies. I'm not going to go into super details on all the points and why they do what they do. This is more on the muscle testing piece. So that just is a good reset, okay? And when you reset, then you can go back. What is yes? I'm back on. What is no? Okay. The state of mind you want to be in when you're muscle testing is a non-judgmental mindset. So if you're attached to outcomes, you're going to skew the results. This isn't something that it's like, okay, prove me wrong. I'm going to show you muscle testing doesn't work. Yeah, you'll prove it wrong. Sure. This is a way for you to measure. And if you have opposing thoughts or emotions, you're going to skew the results. So that's why a lot of people are wishy-washy with muscle testing, is because they have so much going on reactively that they get skewed answers. And there are some ways to eliminate that, which maybe we can cover a little bit later. Okay, so back to this measuring. Yeses, nos, just to get a solid, right? Now, 0 to 10, 10 being 100%, 0 being not at all, positive or negative. Let's say I'm going to take these organic gummy bears and I'm going to check the result. So a good question would be, what is the result of the gummy bears for me to consume the gummy bears? Okay, what's the result of this in my body to consume? So I could check and I could say, okay, is it positive? Yes. Is it negative? No. So it's a positive result right now. Great. So 0 to 10, 10 being 100% good for me, beneficial for me, 0 being not at all, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right now, organic gummy bears would be a 6 out of 10 good for me for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I just ate some really salty foods and I need a little bit of sugar to counter. I don't know. I'm not there to want to understand why. I just want to know the results, okay? Now, let's say I'm checking something else, so like a little orange thing, okay? So I could check, and you could just check without even stating the question, like, is this, you could just say, you could just have this food on you. Oh, look, it's strong. If it went weak, then I would know it would be weak. And I would want to measure it 0 to 10, 10 being the worst, 0 being not at all. So it shows strong right now. So now I can just check 0 to 10, 10 being the best, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's like a 9 right now. So really high for me. Something else I could check. Let's check some salt, table salt. So I don't know, might be positive, might be negative. So right now, actually, this is negative on me, okay? So 0 to 10, 10 being the worst, 0 being not at all, 0, 1. So it's like a 1, fairly bad, but it's not like beneficial right now. It would cause a minor effect on the negative scale, okay? So that's simple method this way. Now here's a bunch of methods to muscle test, and then I'm going to take a bunch of questions. Just hopefully that gives some ideas here. Hopefully you're forming some questions. Even if you're like, hey, why does this work? Whatever questions you guys have coming up in your mind, go ahead and put in the chat box because I'm going to take questions here in a minute. Okay, here's some other methods to muscle test. The slick and stick method. So on your fingernails, this is one I use a lot. Slide is, so what is yes goes, what is no sticks. So yes, no, yes, no. What is yes, no. So I could check this again, right? Positive, great. 0 to 10, 10 being the best. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 comes out of 9. Okay, so that way I would know, and you can do it multiple ways to double check yourself. Like if you're like unsure, maybe try another method to double check. I always like to double check things, especially if I'm doing it on someone else to, you know, do some sort of technique. It's always good to double check. Okay, here's some other methods. This one is kind of fun. Let me see if I can do it here. So this one's called the, I don't know what it's really called, but the thumb method. This one basically is you check your cuticles here and you tap them together and you say, what is yes? And one will get higher than the other. And then you go back to neutral and you say, what is no? And the other one will go up or down. So for me, yes goes up, no goes down. So then you can check things and you could just check. So let's say I'm checking this and this fruit, okay? Positive. And then I could check 0 to 10. I could go, it's on neutral. So when I would check it, it would give me a yes indicator on the number that it is. So 0 to 10, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. It shot up. So then I could know, oh, 9 out of 10, baby. So it's the same method, okay? Other methods. Let me see if you can see this. So this is called the sway method. It's always a fun one. I don't usually do this one because it's kind of awkward. But you stand, and then yes will lean forward. No will push back. So you say, what is yes? Going forward. What is no? Going back. Great. So then you could check. Is it also positive, negative? So let's say I'm doing this fruit, right? So I want to check on this. Is it positive? Yeah. So just, you don't even have to ask because it's already programmed yes or no. So then if it's positive, you'll go forward. If it was a negative, you'd move back. Okay. So positive went forward. So then I could check 0 to 10, 10 being the best. I'd say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Boom. So 9 indicated and it went forward. Okay. So then I'd know this was a 9 out of 10. Other methods. So there's the also the push method, to where you just push on your finger, which this one's done on people. If you're using someone else, it usually you push on someone's arm. So it's like, what is yes is strong, what is no is weak. Yes, no. You can do an extension of that on your own hand. So yes is strong, no will dip down. So what is yes, what is no? Okay, it's another one. You could do the, I know I'm missing a bunch. Let's see. So, I like to use pendulums. Pendulums are fun. Let me, I don't have one on me. It's in the other room. But essentially, what you could do with a pendulum, anything that swings, right? And it's better if you get an actual pendulum with a, the weight is centered. Otherwise, it's easy to skew it. So let's say, you know, I'm just going to use this for the example. But let's say, okay, so let's say, let's say I'm going to use this as my pendulum. All right. So a yes will, this is terrible. This is too weak. Hey, hon? Hey, Emily. Could you give me a pendulum? I think there's one on the counter. Thanks. So basically what you would do with a pendulum is as you're swinging it, yes would be clockwise. So it would move to the right. It would go clockwise. No would move counterclockwise. So you could do it, just give it a swing and you say, what is yes? And it'll slightly move to the right. What is no? To the left. So you could be really fast with it. So it's like, what is yes? Boom. What is no? Boom. And then you could check 0 to 10 using a chart. So if you wanted to have like a piece of paper with straight up and down as 0, and then 10 positive over here, 10 negative over here. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's like a semicircle, you know. This side's positive, this side's negative. So then you could swing and just say, what's the result of this orange on my body? And it'll swing and go to the 9. And it'll show you what the result is. So that's another method of muscle testing, so to say, to measure frequencies. Okay, let's take some questions right here, because I feel like there might be some questions. Let me look at the chat here. Okay, and then if you guys have some good questions that you want to hop on and talk, then we can do that. So let's first go through this. Okay, Carolyn says, what's the best way to ask questions or statements? So hopefully that was answered a little bit. I like to ask questions that are all based on rating. So what is the result of? To what effect does this have on my body? Or to what effect does this have? Or what's the result of this? I like to ask those things. And so here's a pendulum for those of you who don't know. All it is a chain and some stuff on it. So it's nothing mystical. It's something that can swing, right? So then you could use your hand as well. And my hand, I have this as my 0, this as positive 10, this as negative 10. So if I'm checking a food, let's see if you can do this, or something. So let's check that orange. So I would say, let's see. See if you can see that a little bit. What is the effect of that orange? Then it would swing over, and it looks like it's about a 9, 8 or 9, you know? So it's like right here, which would be my 8 or 9. So that one just takes some practice with it, right? Okay, so best questions to ask are usually rating questions. I like to calibrate with yes/no questions, and then check with rating questions, and then verify with yes/no. So I might be like, hey, what is the effect of this orange? 0 to 10, 10 being the best, 0 being not at all. Check it, boom. Then if you wanted to double check, you could just say, is it positive again? Is it 9 out of 10? And you should get a yes on both of those, right? So if you're starting, it's nice to verify. Okay, let me know if these answer your questions, or if you have, you know. So Anne says, I seem to be successful with the pendulum muscle testing because it's hard to fake. The finger flick one, I seem to want to sway the results my way. How do you overcome the finger flick? So the slide and stick one, is that one you're talking about? Basically, and you can just nod your head. Yeah? Is that, yeah? Okay, cool. Or you can unmute yourself, either way. So, okay, so yeah, this one's a little bit more difficult, I find, for people, just because it's a little bit more intuitive. Like, you have to be sensitive to the slick and stick. This one is based on strength. So strength, you can pick up strength really easy when it comes to muscle testing. It's the vibration is easier because when something is negative, your body will go weak. So therefore, you'll pick it up. This one is more of a programmed weak. So it's a little bit more difficult for people to do sometimes. Because it's like, this is no, or sorry, this is yes, this is no. So it's more of a programmed method. This one's actually checking the physical response. So that's why it might be a little bit more difficult. Also, the pendulum is non-attached to you. So the only thing attached is your intention. So when you're swinging it and you're measuring it, it's a lot more focus, because you're not focused in strength or sticking or slicking. All you're focused is what's the answer, right? What's the result? So it takes out a lot of factors that could stray the result when you're using a pendulum. And that way it could be easier that way. Some people it's a lot harder because it's an inanimate object and they can't logically understand, or they have weird ideas about this, so it affects their result. For me, I actually like pendulums. I get better results with pendulums a lot of times, and now I'm at the point where it really doesn't matter what I use, but I still like to use pendulums and muscle testing either way. Anyway, it's like all equal, and it just comes with practice and working through stuff. Okay, let's check out here some more questions. What if you get a confusing answer? It doesn't seem to be yes or no. Good question. So if you don't get yeses or nos, it's called how to train your muscle testing, how to train your pendulum, how to train. You got to program it. So if you know something, like when you're first starting off, do things that you know are already good for you. Like, you eat this, I know I'd feel good and I know it would be good for me. So if I knew that and I got a negative, and I know like 100%, like I am sure that this is good for me, like I have no negative responses, I know I'm not allergic, then you've got to program it. So it's like, give me a yes. Okay. 0 to 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you just drill this over and over and over till you make it give you the answer that you know it should be. Okay? Because you're in charge of programming it. If it's doing weird things, you might be in a weird state. So drink some water, do the tapping on the chest, go get grounded, like put your feet in the on the grass or something. If you're around electronics all the time and you haven't actually got grounded, it can be difficult to pick up on different frequencies because you're so full of electrical charge anyway. And back in the day when, you know, people ran around barefoot, people were a lot more grounded. So being grounded helps as well. And I actually mean like grounded, like touching ground, like electrical grounding, right? So those are some simple ways. And you just got to program it and trust yourself. Do things that you know already and get to where your answers coincide with your knowing. Then you'll get better and better. Also, start with foods. Start with foods because it's something that it has a live frequency that's constantly in change. Okay? Start with foods because they're easier to pick up on. Now, a lot of people will try to do like results or future stuff. That's more advanced. That gets into more complicated things. So start first with objects that have higher frequencies to them, meaning things that were alive or are alive and that you can measure. Okay. Hopefully this clarifying some stuff for people. All right. What specifically can I do to practice with food? Sometimes I want to sway it a certain way. Like I want avocado to be good for me, and I think it is. Yeah, it's a good question, Allison. This is going to be kind of a thing that you're going to have to do on your own where, you know, if you're not having allergic responses, check the things and get it to where you know it's a yes and you know it's a no. Like Diet Coke or Coca-Cola, I know no matter what you do, it's not going to be good for you. So if you're getting like a yes, oh, this is good for me, you're probably skewing it. So like take something maybe like rat poison and, you know, this should be a negative, or chlorine, right? Like chlorine on me, right? So chlorine should be a negative. So you should get it to where it's a negative. And then get something that's a positive that you know is good for you. Like maybe some spinach or something. Something that people aren't really allergic to or don't form any allergies to. I might be careful with the avocados, starting with those, because some people do have allergies to avocados. I might try something like spinach or lettuce, you know, something simple that most people don't have allergies to, carrots, things like that. All right. My first test on water was not a 10. Oh, wait. Whoops. Here we go. Okay. Avocado, my first was not a 10. What's up with that? Oh, so if you check water, just because you check water, now water has different frequencies. There's water that has negative frequencies. There's water that has positive frequencies. And there's a whole technique to eliminate the negative frequencies of water so that it can be a positive 10. Most water is not above a 6 or a 7. It's not. Now, if you're like dying of dehydration, the moment you check it, it's probably going to be really high for you, right? But overall, if you have a bad source of water, like, I mean, most water, just to give you an idea, I don't want to get into all this because it'll complicate things, but water has like 90% of the water on the planet has the spirit of greed in it, and it has bad flavor. I mean, think about it. All the water on the earth, it's just recycled all the time. There's no new water. It's just all the time being cycled in the universe. And so it's because of how our ecosystem works, we're drinking the same water back thousands of years ago. And it's been through people and through animals and through everything. So it's picking up on those frequencies. And now today, there's so much people bottling water and greedy with water that it's formed a lot of negative emotions. So if you're checking water and it's not like a 10 out of 10, it's probably right. It's probably not a 10 out of 10. And there are techniques that you can do to eliminate those negative frequencies to make water really good for you. Every time I move somewhere, I do a whole technique to remove all the negative frequencies from the water. There's about 30 things that you check to eliminate water, negative water frequencies. So yeah, so that's what's up with that. Hopefully that answers. I'm not going to get into how to do all that because that's a different class. What sample questions do I use to calibrate my yes and no? Good. So simple things, yeses and nos, foods starting with that you know are bad, that you know are good. Whoops, where did it go? Here we are. Okay. I hear you have to be hydrated and emotionally clear, like have no bias, state of mind to be accurate. How can I get there quickly? Only thing I can think of is I got to do an hour of yoga because I'm not usually in that state of mind. Yeah, you don't have to be emotionally clear. No one's like perfectly clear. It does help to be hydrated, but most people are not fully hydrated, right? So even in a negative state, if you've practiced this a lot, you can still pick up on the frequencies. It's like riding a bike. At first, you have to be really present, really focused, like to get it down. But as you do it, you could do it in your sleep. You could do it drunk, riding a bike, if you're really good at it, right? So if you're really practiced at muscle testing, you don't have to be like perfectly aligned to pick up on it. You just have to be practiced at it. And yes, it does help to get clear. And that's why I'm always working on getting more and more clear. You know, I'm even here in California working to get clear and doing like 8 to 10 hour intensives just on myself to process and clear emotions so I can better serve people. And yeah, it's, you do whatever you need to do, you know, go yell, run around, exercise. If you're just not focused and not picking up on it, it's really going to come down to you making a choice that I'm capable and I'm going to tune into this and I'm going to do it. Like any skill, you just got to commit and say, I am going to learn this and I'm going to be good at it, period. And you can have all the negative emotions and all the feelings and all this stuff. But if your commitment is stronger than your emotions and your feelings, you're going to be good at this. You could be the most unclear person and most trigger happy and crazy. But if you make a commitment, I'm going to learn how to muscle test. I'm going to get so stinking good at it. You'll get good. Commitments are stronger than emotions and thoughts. Your emotions and thoughts will go haywire. You'll have ups and downs. But if you're committed to getting good at this, you will get good, regardless of what your thoughts and emotions do. Hope that helps. Okay. I'm going to, somebody unmute themselves. There's a lot of questions here. I just want to change in tone because I've been talking a lot. Somebody unmute themselves and make sure like things are landing. Is this beneficial? What are you guys getting out of this? Somebody say something. Unmute yourself.
Very beneficial.
Okay, somebody, great. So tell me, Carolyn, what's one gold nugget so far?
That the pendulum, I like your rating system because I've just done yes, no. And like I asked the question about kind of sometimes it's a little bit, unclear. But if it's rated, then it could still be yes, but maybe just a small yes, not a big yes. So I like that.
Great. Thanks.
That helps.
Thanks for sharing. Who else? Who else wants to share something that they're gaining so far?
I have a question.
Yeah, Christina, what's up?
So I'm wondering, just to be really clear, when I'm testing on a scale, it's going to go no, no, no until I get to the right number on the scale, and then it would be a yes. Is that correct? So if I was testing that orange, it would go no, no, no for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when I got to whatever, it would stick and be a yes.
Yeah, that's going to be on you programming it. This is how I do it. So like, what is yes? What is no? 0 to 10, 10 being the best. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I'm getting a no until it is a yes, and then it'll break. Or no.
Okay.
No. Actually, I'm getting a no on this. So it's like so sometimes I confuse people with this because my scaling, I jump. Sometimes I'll do negative, or positive, negative. Right?
Okay.
That's how I do it usually with this method.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's more energy to do this.
Right. Okay. And keep breaking it. Okay.
So I do whatever is easiest. So it's like if I'm doing the slide and stick, I'll do it. It'll slide when it's the right thing. So it's like because this is yes, this is no. So it's no, 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 yes. So with that one's it's opposite for me.
I see. Okay.
I do the laziest method possible.
I like that.
Don't get good question, because some people see me do it and they're like, that's really good. So yes, you just program it how you want it.
Okay.
If I'm specifically asking a specific question, I have to get really clear because I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm asking a yes or a no. Okay. So you got to be really clear on what you're checking and more indicator for it. So I say break on the indicated number. Okay, break on the indicated number. 0 to 10, 10 being the positive, 0 being not at all, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So you're doing this really intuitively just because you've trained yourself. But when I'm starting out doing this, I would tell my body what the response is that I want, like break on the correct number.
Yeah.
And then that's how I would program myself and my body to read my intuition this way.
Correct. Yeah, you got to tell what you want to know that it's the indicator. So if I'm doing this, I'm going to say slide off when I get to the correct mode or the correct number. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom.
Okay, thank you. That's clarifying.
Yeah, great question. Okay, let me read a couple more of these. When testing 1 to 10, how do you decide which side is better? Would switching it help accuracy or confuse your testing? How do you decide what side is better? I'm confused by that question. So yeah, if you could clarify that question, that'd be great. And then yeah, you there? Try again.
Like, hello?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, okay. I asked, is this food good or bad for me? Which I'm gonna switch it from good or bad to positive or negative. That's probably more of a frequency thing.
Because it could be good, but it might not be that good for you. And it could be bad, but it might not. It might be really bad, If you're checking that, you could be like rat poison and maybe like some sort of French fry or Coca-Cola. And you're like, is this bad for me? Yes. Is this bad for me? Yes. Dang, they're both bad for me, but one's like death and one's like not so good.
Right. And so, and then after I ask which one it is, I'm like, scale from 1 to 10, 1 being, it's not that bad for me, and then like 10 being like, it's really, really bad for me. What is it? But do I do like 1 being, it's really, really bad for me, and 10 being it's not that bad for me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you could change it up. The reason why I don't is because when I'm dowsing, I have 0 in the middle, and then positive on this side, negative on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 being the extreme. So 10 is the most worst possible. Also on this side, 10 is the best possible. So I just like to keep it congruent when I'm checking, just for my sanity, so I don't get confused. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, like keeping it consistent probably would be.
Yeah.
less confusing.
Especially if you're doing this like clinical and you're just doing it over and over and over and over, you want to get it the simplest, the least amount of effort, and the most effective way. So when you're muscle testing, especially for the CAT, you just want to be so quick. It's just boom, 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 boom. Just getting answers quick. Because if you take long, that thing could take, I had somebody took 5 hours trying to do it because they were unclear on muscle testing. And so that's way too long. That's like 3.5 hours too long, right? So getting good at muscle testing can help a lot. Yeah, great questions. Right, let's see what else we got. And necklace, I would hold my pendulum still, and yes, it will move in a circle, and no, it moves in a straight line. I would hold my pendulum still. Yes, it would move in a circle. No, it moves in a straight line. Yeah. So for me, when I do it, and there's no right or wrong. This traditionally, like in dowsing, straight up and down is a yes. The reason I changed that, just for teaching sake, is because I want people, because you could swing it, and if people aren't very good at it, they'll be like, well, it's saying a yes, but they're unsure because there's no change. So I want people to measure change. So it's like, give me a yes, and it's going to swing to the right. It looks like it's the left because we're in the camera, but it's going to the right. Give me a no, will swing to the left. So you could do this really quick. And if the longer the chain, the longer it takes. So if I'm doing it real fast, I want to shorten my chain, and I'm just going to say, what is yes? Boom. What is no? Boom. That fast. Okay. So it's like, what is yes? Slightly move to the right. What is no? Slightly move to the left. Great. 0 to 10, 10 being the most effective, 0 being not at all. What's the effect of that orange? And there it is. Boom. Got it. So it's actually, dowsing can be a lot faster unless you're just like drilling the numbers real quick, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 9. Boom. So either one's fast. It's just how fast you get at one method, just takes practice. All right, let's see what else we got here. Can you muscle test for cars or appliances in and out? Yes, you can. So when you're practicing though, you want to do live stuff, right? So let me just kind of go over how frequencies work and ourselves. So let's say I'm working with myself and I'm going to measure things of me. My past has already existed. The frequencies are already here. So they're actually really easy to pick up on. Present is very easy to pick up on. Future gets more difficult. And it's common sense if you think about it. Like your past has already existed, the frequency's already established. Present, it's happening right now, so it's very simple to pick up on. Future has not occurred yet, so there's a lot of factors that could affect the future. So for people, that's the most advanced method is checking future stuff. A lot of people, that's why there's a lot of like, oh, don't check future stuff out there. It's like, whatever. It's just they just haven't been trained in it enough, and people will come up with weird answers a lot of times because they haven't gotten to the level or ability to measure futuristic things. There's a lot of people who do it very well, and I've been able to do it. I do it in a lot of things. I check futuristic stuff and probabilities for things. I check probabilities. There's a lot of people out there who say don't do that, and it's because they're afraid. They are either ignorant on the subject or they haven't been taught on certain things. You always ask though, may I, can I, should I? Like you want to get permission. So if I'm checking for something, I'm going to check, may I, can I, should I, any reason not to, no, then you're good. If you get a no on one of those, then don't do it, right? There's all sorts of things you can check. And like we've done it for a lot of things, and it's helped a lot of people with health, and it's helped a lot of people with decisions, and it's helped a lot of people save a lot of money, and it's helped a lot of people get out of pain checking futuristic stuff. I usually don't teach that because a lot of people aren't ready for that, and they have so much judgment around it based on their belief systems growing up and religious views and things, and they skew it. And so I usually don't go there because people have warped ideas around it. But yeah, if you ask, may I, can I, should I, and you're game, then do it. If it says no, so like if I'm checking, may I, can I, should I, any reason not to. So let's say regarding this fruit. May I, can I, should I check the results of this fruit on my body? Any reason not to? Great. So I'm going to do it, right? Now with foods, I never ask that question because it's always a given. Like for me, it's just programmed. I know every single thing is good to measure on that. But on things that I'm checking, like in my business, so now we're getting away from these types of objects, and we're going to inanimate things. I muscle tested which car to buy, right? And found my ideal car that way. So my dad, back when he was moving, he muscle tested where to move, and he ended up moving from Texas to Arkansas and found his dream home there. And so there's so many things you can muscle test. And the key is what is muscle testing? Well, it's picking up on frequencies and energies. And if you start to study Einstein's law of relativity, then it doesn't matter future, past, or present because of quantum physics. And as you start to get more education, it becomes less odd because it starts to make more sense. So if you have confusion around or fears, just start to study more on quantum physics and how it works. I'm not an expert in that because it does get pretty crazy, but it's pretty cool stuff, and how to measure things. So hopefully this is not making it more complicated, but hopefully it's getting some answers here. Let's see. Remember to talk about difference between spirit. Okay, let's see. Can you apply test? Okay, so back to the inanimate things. So yeah, you can totally do that. Like my dad was checking for where to move. We did that. I checked for the car. Like, hey, this vehicle, the vehicle that I'm going to purchase. So let's say when I bought my Subaru. I also do a very spiritual, like muscle testing. To me, I get answers a lot spiritually through muscle testing because I know how to use it. So I'll pray a lot of times, and my answer will be muscle test it. I'm like, okay. And so a lot of times, because I have that ability, then I have a trust and I can actually measure and get it. So I'll pray and I'll say, okay, this is how I want the answer. And then a lot of times I'll get the answer to say, do this thing to also verify. So I might get a good feeling of peace, of comfort, of counsel, and I'll muscle test and I'll have both of them together. So it's a logical, emotional, and a physical process all validating it. So it doesn't replace anything spiritual. It just is a way to measure things. Okay. Hopefully this is making some sense. Okay. Can you test? So yes, you can test those. You can check. So what's the overall benefit? Oh, so you have to have it programmed though. So like, let's say my car, I had to have all my intention. So it was, I want a vehicle that's going to get this type of gas mileage, be safe for my family, be in this price range, have a good motor. Like I wrote out all the things I wanted in a vehicle. And then I said, okay, for this being my ideal, now I'm going to check my cars. 0 to 10, 10 being ideal, 0 being not at all. And then I would check them. So it'd be, oh, this vehicle. Oh, it's a 3. No, that's not it. Is it this? And when I get a 10 out of a 10 as ideal, I know that's the one. Is that kind of making sense how you can do it? You can, so there's that way. Let's see. Remember talk about the difference between spiritual questions versus concrete objects. Yeah. Did I already cover some of that? Pretty much like inanimate versus
I think so, but a follow-up question I have on that for inanimate objects, Or like, I just remember you said you used to practice muscle testing with cards. Like,
Yeah. So that's harder. Cause okay, so like if like a card,
right?
right?
Really?
You
But
you
it's
Yeah, here's why. So like if you take a deck of cards, technically you could pick up on the frequencies of red and black. Like you could do that. And you could just check without seeing. However, it's a lot harder than a fruit or something because this is alive and it has a lot more energy in it. Whereas the card has been manufactured, it's been through a process, most of its life force has been eliminated. So it's more difficult to pick up on. There are some really good muscle testers who can get it 100%. Boom, 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 boom. I'm actually not that good at it for like things that have not very much energy in them. So I like to do it though to challenge me. I like to do things that'll push me and push me to grow. So I do it on things that are difficult, just to change my way of thinking. So if you find something difficult, yeah, practice at it and get good at it, and then you'll be that much better when it comes to the easy stuff. All right. Why other thing? Why thing other than pendulum? And okay, Christina, when working on a scale, is it no until you get the number? Okay, we talked about that. I often second guess myself when testing. Okay, let's talk about second guessing yourself. Okay, muscle testing is a skill. Muscle testing is a skill. That's it. Like riding a bike, like being able to write a book, like being able to make dinner, it's a skill. And if you second guess yourself, it's a number of factors. Number one, maybe a lack of education. So the more you get educated on energy, frequencies, hearing testimonials, give yourself evidence for why it works. I'm always reading cool books, studying, getting results, because it feeds my mind evidence of why it works and how good I am at it. If I have a lot of evidence in my life where I have gotten wrong answers, I'll second guess myself. If I've made choices that I've regretted, I'll second guess myself. The more regrets I have, the more I'll second guess myself in muscle testing. So it's good to clear up all your regret feelings, any feelings of making a choice and then feeling not good enough or letting yourself down or being wrong. Like working on that stuff and addressing it helps you get that ability. Now, even if you didn't do that and you just practiced like crazy, you could bypass all that and just through sheer practice get good at it, right? But those are some shortcuts. If you want to, if you do have trouble, then it's usually tied to some regret energy, trying something and failing, not doing something wrong. And you have a lot of that connotation to you. Like I grew up and there were times in my life where I felt like I had to be the perfect son. So I would go out and do something, and if I did something wrong, I felt really bad about it. And it affected my life. And so it started to skew my results and my muscle testing abilities, because all the time I felt like I was never enough, never good enough. I always felt like I was not doing it right. So as I started to work on that and clear all those negative thoughts, then I was just like, of course I'm right. Here's what it is. Boom. And the surety came, which muscle testing is really cool. I'll give you some other examples. I had a guy who lost some cattle, and they were taken, 22 cows or 24 cows. And he asked me, he's like, hey, is there a way to like do something about it? So I asked, maybe we can, we should, we usually not to. Great. Yeah, we can figure some stuff out around it. So we asked, and I asked, okay, are they killed? You know, how many of these cattle are still alive? 0 to 22 or 24, and it came out 22 out of 24 were still alive. And then I checked, okay, well, are they with the group, with the pack? And they're like, no. So I was like, okay, well, where are they? You know, in my mind. And I was like, are they does someone else have them? And the answer is yes. Okay. Were they stolen? Yes. Were they stolen knowingly? Yes. So I was like, interesting. And this had happened like 2 or 3 years back, about the same amount of cattle. And anyone who raises cattle, this is a big chunk of change, you know? That's like several tens, thousands of dollars there. So it's a big deal. And I figured out where they were based on muscle testing. And I wanted to get a double, a second opinion, just because this is a pretty big deal. And they're, you're just checking stuff. So I checked through. The guy sends me a list of all the 10 possible names that could have taken it. I come up with the name that I found who did it. And I want to make sure. I'm like, okay, well, this guy stole your stuff, but let me get a second opinion. So I just send the list to my dad, who's really good at muscle testing and dowsing. And I say, hey, Dad, I've got some guy who, well, first off, I just told him, I have a guy who's missing some cattle. What can you tell me about it? That's all I said. And he's like, well, they're stolen and they're in Arizona, or they're in Nevada. And I was like, yep, that's what I got. And I didn't even tell him where they were or anything. He's like, that's what I got. And he's like, cool. And then I was like, okay, here's the list of people. And who do you get who stole it? And he texted me the exact guy that I got. So therefore, we knew we were on the same page. We were both getting the right answer, right? So something like that's kind of a big deal, and I like to double check with fellow people who are good at muscle testing. And we tried to locate them. We located it a little too late, because then we were taking a map and dowsing to figure out where they were. And at the time, it kept changing every 10 minutes. They were in a trailer on the way over the border to go get slaughtered. So it was like too late. So we couldn't do anything about it. But we found them and we knew who did it. And so then we can do some stuff from there to help prevent it in the future. So anyway, cool stuff. All right, let's see. Best way to test for children. Good question. Proxy. So can you do proxy? Absolutely. You can test for children. You can test for anybody. So you just ask, may I, can I, should I, any reason not to, right? And if you're good, do it. So you can check, let's say if I'm going to check for Bella, my daughter, then I'd say, may I, can I, should I, any reason not to? Great. And if I want to embody Bella, like I want to become her energetically, then I will just state it 3 times. I'm Bella, I'm Bella, I'm Bella, I'm Bella, I'm Bella. So it'll go strong whenever I take on her energy, so to say. Then I can check myself in Bella's form to muscle test. So I could just check myself. You could just check her and just say, what's the effect of this on her? What's the effect on this? Like my little daughter, Abigail, she was having some reflux. She's 1 year old. And we were throwing up and stuff. And we're like, she must be allergic to something, like something happening. So we were checking and it turned up lactose. Lactose was having an effect on her. And so then once we eliminated the allergy using the CAT, then it went away and stopped throwing up and was able to sleep better. So yeah, and we just measured just for her, just like, hey, can I check for Abigail? Okay, what's the effect of lactose on Abigail 0 to 10? Is it positive? No. Is it negative? Yes. 0 to 10, 10 being negative, the worst. 0 being not at all. 0, 1, 2, 3 is like a 3 or a 4 negative. So then we knew, and then once we changed it, then it was a positive, and it went back. Okay, hopefully we're getting some good answers here. With food, isn't it subjective for knowing? The answer should be slightly, yeah, at first it is, until you get better. Testing pets. Best way this cat here likes energy work. Yeah, cats are good. Dogs and cats, man, they react well to muscle testing and to any technique, like the CAT technique, body code stuff. Like they react really well. Tapping, even like biotapping or EFT. So how do you test for them? Same way. So may I, can I, should I for my pet? Any reason not to? Great. Let's check. Like let's say I'm checking my dog, Buddy. So may I, can I, should I? Any reason not to? Okay, so you could personify the dog. So I'm Buddy, I'm Buddy, I'm Buddy, I'm Buddy, I'm Buddy, I'm Buddy. Okay, so now I could check as if I'm Buddy. So then I could be like, okay, what's the effect of this dog food on me as Buddy? 0 to 10, 10 being, first I would check positive, great, positive, negative, no, okay, positive, 0 to 10, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say I'm checking his food that we just bought him. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the food we just bought him, 9. Let's say I'm checking the food that we bought him before we switched to this one. 0, 1, 2, 3. Is it positive? Is it negative? It's negative. So actually, that's probably why he didn't eat it. He would never eat very much, and he was getting thin. And it was like this Costco brand of dog food, and it was just dry junk. So I guess it was having a negative effect on him. And once we switched, he started eating again, and it was better. And, common sense, not eating, something's up. I didn't even muscle test that, but now you can go back and check, and totally, you can verify and get the answer. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of good questions. I don't get how you can sway dowsing, but I haven't seen the video on it. Yeah, you need to study dowsing a little bit more. It's just, for checking methods. Dowsing, you can actually alter frequencies, but we're just talking about measuring right now. 0 to 10, 10 being positive, negative, just measuring. We're not talking about altering right now. All right. If you're helping someone align long distance, can you muscle test for them so you don't have to teach them how to muscle test? Yeah. So hopefully that got your answer. Let me know if some of these questions weren't answered fully or if you have more questions on these. Couldn't you measure future well and establish it yourself how important it is to you? No, absolutely. You could. Just be careful doing that, because here's the thing. This is why I don't teach to do future stuff, because people become victims to the tools and they lose common sense. And this is why people get all weird about it. If you're not weird about it and you're down to earth and you check, may I, can I, should I, any reason not to, and you get good first at doing other things and you get solid answers and you build up accomplishment energy with it, then by all means, check futuristic stuff. Yeah, because now you're not going to be tied to it. You're not attached. It's no big deal. You're not going to do something stupid. If somebody gets testing, they're like, oh, it says it's positive for me to go spend $100,000 into a vat of oil, and they do it, then I'm going to be like, what are you on? So the dowsing and muscle testing doesn't replace common sense. It's an asset to it, right? It's an asset to common sense. But knowing how to muscle test can increase your common sense, can expand your common sense, and make things that weren't common. Like some of the things that I check, people don't think that that's normal or common till you do it enough, and then it's very common. It's like, oh yeah, you can check that. It's just an energy. It's a frequency. Wanting no children. Isn't there a way to move or a car by a house? Isn't where to move a future thing? Yeah, it totally is. Is there a book that you can read teaches muscle testing? I'm sure there is. I don't know that book, but I'm sure there is. There's tons of books out there. Vibrational medicine gives a good basis of it. Not muscle testing in and of itself, but the idea of energy and frequencies. Body code, or the motion code, he teaches a little bit on muscle testing, not a whole lot. I'm sure there's books. I haven't read any books about muscle testing just because it's been in my family for so long. All right, Allison, so can you be drunk and muscle test? No, I was being facetious with that. So it's if someone's drunk, it's going to totally throw off their answers, but if you get so good at it, you could be in a kind of a chaotic state and be okay. You could still measure. It's like it's like if someone who is drunk or somebody had a horrible day, they could still ride a bike. It's because they practice so much. So if you practice so much at something, even if you have an off day, you'll still be okay at it. If you go get drunk, it's gonna be skewed. just because it throws off your like that. You got to be in tune. This is a in tune method. Okay. When my mom and I tried testing ley lines, she got 4 ley lines. I got 2 or 3 at first. How does that work? Yeah, I wouldn't check ley lines yet. You're not practiced enough. Got to get better at this. So, like, ley lines is more advanced. Can you use to find problems in the body and how to do that? Oh, yeah. Totally. I do it all the time. So can you use it to find problems in the body, and how would you do that and when? Absolutely. So like you could do, let's say you have a headache, okay? So you could say, may I, can I, should I regarding this headache or this backache. You could check to what's affecting or making the back or the headache. So you could say, you could categorize stuff. Is this physical, chemical, spiritual, emotional? And you could just check 0 to 10, 10 being 100%, 0 being not at all, or then you could check each one. So let's say this headache, 10 being 100%, 0 being not at all. Let's go physically, just pure physical. 0, 1, 2, great, 2. Emotional, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Holy cow. So a big portion of it is emotional. So that would give me an idea of what should I actually do to counter that. Like if I go and just do some physical stuff, it might temporarily relieve it. But if I do some emotional release, then totally going to help the headache. Or chemical, let's say it's like a chemical substance that you're consuming. So you could check that, right? I've been practicing on food, and after like 3 foods, I get thrown off and try and give up. Yeah, so keep practicing. Don't give up. That's like I've got on a bike and tried to pedal twice and give up. Like you gotta keep pushing through. Just don't quit. Keep in mind why you're doing it, and get educated. Read some books. Go through things to get more familiar with it. Okay, so I'm gonna open up this and get some interaction with people because I'm getting tired of just reading everybody's stuff. So let's hear some voices. Let's get some feedback, making sure is this like making sense to people? Is this going too far? And like what questions do you have? What's landing? I want to make sure that anybody who watches this can be somewhat comfortable with muscle testing.
So Tyler, do you have any kind of like lists that you use to maybe go through for different things?
Well, no. I could make one, but no. I mean, I have the CAT list that I've created, but that's not really to check causation of simplicity things. But technically, even like the 7 categories or 8 categories that I have in the CAT, you could just check those things. Like the modes, the different mode categories, you could check those and be like, hey, what's 0 to 10, 10 being the most effect on these, and you could check which one has the biggest effect if you just wanted to pinpoint something.
Okay.
Yeah, and the cool thing about muscle testing is be creative with this stuff. Like there is no limit. Like any question you could think of, just like practice with this stuff and get good at asking the right questions, I think the best thing that muscle testing has helped me do is asking the right questions. That's like the most important thing, is getting really solid on what kind of question I want to ask to get a specific result. So for example, when I was learning dowsing, there was a time I was driving down the road and I was like, I had a goal. I wanted to go to a place that we could pay like less than $50 to stay at a place overnight. We were driving down the road and we thought, hey, let's just douse. We were kind of new into dowsing, and I just got married, and I was like, let's do this. Let's measure what exit to take in order to get to the place that would be the best for us. So we were dowsing, and it's like, take this exit, right? So we take this exit, and then we ask, okay, do we need to turn left or right to get to the place? And we're checking, is it left? No. Is it right? And it's like, yes. So we go right, and it starts to go way out in these, like, I think we're in like Tennessee or somewhere. And it's like shady, dark, like creepy. And we're freaking out. We're like, no lights everywhere. And we're like, man, this dowsing muscle testing stuff is not working. Like, this totally threw us way off. And after we turned around, we went back, and I was like, but I was really thought I was confident in myself. I was like, I thought this was the right thing. And turned out I asked the wrong question, because the place coming off of the highway, that was actually the place was there, and it was on the left, but it was a one-way street, so I couldn't turn right. So it said, don't turn right, or don't turn. I couldn't turn left. So my question was, which way do I turn, left or right? And it gave me the right answer, but even though it was on the left, it said turn right, because I couldn't turn left. So I turned right, and it took me way away. So if I would have asked, what side is it on? Is it on the left or the right? It would have said left. So then I said, my question was, which way should I turn, right? So that gets into more like futuristic and a little higher frequency measuring and probabilities, which can skew people. So just be aware of that. But practice with it. It's fun. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. And we found the exact hotel we were looking for. It was like $53, exactly what we wanted. And it was safe. We had our intentions of what we wanted. Super safe, super cheap. The guy like comes out and moves like all this stuff out of the way. And he's like, here's my special parking spot for you. We were like whining and dining at this like $50 like hotel. It was so cool because we wanted that. And that's what we got because we were asking the right questions. But we asked the wrong question, got the right answer, and it made me doubt myself. I was like, oh, maybe I'm not getting the right answer, right? Okay, so what else you guys got going? Tell me some more questions, feedback. Who else? Some people who haven't asked questions. Like, let's get some voices.
I've already asked a question. This is Christina, but I wanted to ask another question. I'm coming to the CAT training in February, and I still feel really insecure and inaccurate in my muscle testing. I've been practicing, and I'll continue to practice. How is that going to affect my ability to do the CAT?
Oh, you've got like 20 days. Practice.
Okay. I love
your
your faith in me.
Drill it. Do it at least an hour a day.
Okay.
Seriously.
Do you have so besides food, where would you go after food?
Emotions. So
Can you give me an example?
yeah, I would if you haven't read the emotion code.
I have.
Yeah, use the emotion code. That's really simple to just kind of get, because it's not attached. You can just go through the chart and find trapped emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like non-attached, pretty simple.
Okay.
That's a really easy thing to do. And then be creative. Tap into your creativity with muscle testing. It's super fun. And it's just about tuning in and getting answers.
All right. Thank you.
And then if you feel really uncomfortable, start doing some declarations on it. Like about you knowing. So it's like, I know and I am in tune and I get the right answer. I get the desired outcome. I trust myself. I am great at muscle testing. I receive the answers that I desire. Like, get into your power with that.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, you're welcome. Who else? Somebody hop on. We're going to wrap this up in the next few minutes.
So Tyler?
Yeah, what's up, Mark?
So when you mentioned about testing, muscle testing, not wanting to get into the whole crystal ball thing versus, outside yourself.
Yeah.
How do you know, like, okay, if you want to do an event, you muscle test for that, or you muscle test around what should I do at the event?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I have seen people take muscle testing so extreme, they muscle test every choice. And when they muscle test every choice and they second guess it, they lose their agency. This is just my opinion, okay? Because they become a victim and a slave to the tool or the process. Like, we're beings and we can know things. We have the ability to know. So with that, if you actually believe that you're a creator and you're here to create and to know things, and then you can measure stuff. Now, there's some people who take it so extreme, they'll like muscle test. Like, I saw a guy one time just learn dowsing, and he muscle test and doused everything. What's the food that I should buy? What's the book that I should do? What's this? And he's all worried about like shoulds. Should. And to me, I'm like, just buy the freaking book. Like, just go do that thing, right? So there's the ability to make a choice, take an action, and get a result, right? Muscle testing helps you check things and check outcomes of things and check results of things and check energetics to stuff. So keep it common sense. Keep it down to earth and don't be weird with it. So like, don't check everything. You can, like, it's a waste of time. Trust yourself. If you have to check everything because you doubt yourself, then you are missing the point of muscle testing. Muscle testing is a way to measure things and measure intuition. So if you are already intuitive and you already know things and you're working on becoming more intuitive, it's a great way to just take it to the next level and get even more clarity. And a lot of people, they don't even need to muscle test. We all have that ability. Like, you just know things. But there's certain things that if you doubt or uncertain, it's good to be able to muscle test. Like with the cattle thing, I had no knowing on it. Like, I was like, I have no background. I have no idea. But I do know that it's an energy and we can measure it. So I had knowing on that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to check and find out where the heck these things are, what happened to them. And because I knew that, I could tune into it and measure it. Like, if I wouldn't have been able to do that without muscle testing or dowsing. You probably could have just tuned into the universe and tried to like locate it and stuff, which is all dowsing is anyway. But for me, it's just a way to measure it physically. And I like physical stuff because I'm a kinesthetic learner. Does that help, Lark? Yeah, don't take it too extreme, people. But practice it all the time because it's a really good asset. It's a great tool to have. Okay, what else?
I don't want to, I don't know. You say practice by testing on foods, but that's kind of boring. And, I don't know, or it's not that important to me, to know what it is. So
what is important to you?
I don't know. Well, I tried muscle testing when I wanted to, when I was at yoga and I was pissed off, and then so I was like, I should just go home. I was like, well, maybe I should muscle test if I should go home or not.
So let me just pause there. So if I'm doing something positive and I get a negative reaction, like let's say I get pissed off at something, then I shouldn't even have to muscle test because logically I could work it out. Because it's like, okay, is staying here going to be good for me? Why? Yeah, it'll be good because I'll work through this. If I'm running from something or resisting something, it's probably not good to give in to that. So you shouldn't even have to like muscle test that stuff. There's a lot of things that should just be logically in your knowing, and that comes with practice, you know. So if you're the problem is because we've been in a reactive state, a lot of us, and myself in the past a lot, then that can skew us because the inability to like know something. So I would work on just the ability to know things. So get some study on things. There's a lot of cool techniques. I'm not going to go into them on getting more reality with stuff and getting into your knowing. And like, I know who I am and I know things around me and I know people. There's all sorts of techniques and stuff you can go through. But for this sake, like, just keep that into your awareness. Study books on it, get some knowledge on how to get present. The Presence Process, I think, is a good book. There's all sorts of cool stuff out there. But get some education in that, study some things, and maybe get the, have you done the Emotion Code? Yeah, get that book. That'll be a good start. Dr. Bradley's a cool guy. He does say some stuff on there that I don't agree with about muscle testing, like checking things in the future. But, you know, it's just because people have their own belief systems. And I've just been taught differently. So it's not like right or wrong. It's just whatever you want to believe. Good? Okay. One last question, then we're wrapping up. Or if we're good, we're good. I think we're pretty solid, yeah? Okay, this help everybody. So now, invitation, practice. Practice muscle testing. There's a lot of different ways, methods. Slicks, this one, you got the lean sway, dowsing, you got all sorts of cool ones, right? And basically, measuring intuition, picking up on frequencies and energy of the planet, and measuring those things, and then being able to check. Now, there's a lot more that we could go into on advanced muscle testing and dowsing and stuff, but for now, I think we got some basics. When checking people, the final thing, when you're checking someone, like let's say using the CAT and you're checking someone, you want to repeat it over and over and over. So it's like, what is yes, what is no? Your name is Joe, yes. Your name is Sarah, no. Okay, great. So then repeat, give me a strong, thank you. Give me a weak, great. Strong, good. Weak, good. And then ask the question, go. Ask the question, go. And then, so it's just repetition and doing it over and over, and that'll help with the consistency flow. Other than that, other pieces when you're muscle testing, checking things, what's the effect of this on my body? Is this thing 100% aligned? If it goes slightly weak, you're looking for a slight change, okay? So it doesn't mean, because if you're muscle testing, you don't even need to rate it doing the CAT. You're just checking for a change. So if I'm checking, let's say I'm allergic to an orange, and I go weak when the orange comes to me, I'm weak. So then I'm going to check all my organs. And if somebody's checking me, or let's say I'm doing it for myself, and I'm checking the orange, and I'm doing it on myself, I could just hold the orange, and then I could go, and I could say, okay, checking this on myself, heart. I could tap 3 times to check if that frequency is on my heart, and then, okay, so there's weakness, right? So if it goes weak at all, then I'm going to do it on that piece. Then once it's strong, check the modes, then go to the next one. Liver. So I could tap 3 times, check my liver. Oh, weak. Okay, do it. Boom. Or liver's over here, sorry. And then let's say I'm doing my pancreas. Boom, 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 right? Then pancreas. Pancreas solid, 100% aligned. Great. Good. So next one. So that's how I could do the muscle testing through this process. If I'm doing it on somebody else, I could just measure let's check all the organs. So let's say I'm doing it on Lark and I'm saying, okay, let's say you're allergic to bark thins, right? So let's say you're having bad reaction to these things or something. And I'm like, okay, what's the effect of, so then I would just say, okay, bark thins, should I, any reason not to? Let's check this. And then I could go through and overall body, am I 100% aligned? No. Great, do it. Boom, boom, boom. Now let's go through all the organs. So heart, check it. Is it 100% aligned? No. Good, do it. Is this one 100% aligned? Is this one 100% aligned? And just go through each one. Now, if I'm checking on somebody physically, then you could just put it on it. And if it goes weak at all, so give me a strong yes, and it's like strong is right there, boom, and it dropped a little, do it. If I go back to strong, here, strong, great. Here, oh, I felt it give a little bit, do it. Like you're just looking for a slight change. That way it's an indicator that you need to address it. Okay? All right, boom. Hopefully that helps a lot of people. Thanks, guys, for joining me today. All right, appreciate it.